when my kids were home, I got called all the names, screamed out
So
the
in front of your kids. I haven't known Jaymee very long. We just started talking on Twitter at the end of April. The fun thing about learning about other people who like to break social norms is where our paths are similar and where they're totally different. Jaymee hits on a lot of crazy similarities, so I think you'll have some fun learning about her journey and her perspective.
Gorgeous.
Oh, look at you. Come on. Hey, Jaymee.
Hey, good to see you. You look fabulous.
Oh, thank you. You look great. Have a
Thank
seat.
you.
So, pink's the order of the day, I see.
Yes, it was beautiful out, so I wanted to wear something that was light and radiant.
Lovely. And what are we drinking today?
We're having water.
Water.
Yes.
No alcohol.
No, I am abstaining.
I've heard you've been abstaining for a little while.
I have, but actually just about a year this month.
Well, congratulations. That's
Thank
a big
you.
thing.
It is, and it's nice. It's been, I feel better. I wasn't trying to quit. I just felt like, hey, I want to do different.
Just take a little break.
Yeah. My birthday's coming up. Will I roll it out? Maybe, maybe not. However, you know, maybe I'll just keep going.
Awesome. Well, cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
So, when did you first have a fascination with feminine clothing?
Oh my. Well, I can tell you, when I was in 5th grade, my mom helped me, and I dressed up in my mom's clothes on a Halloween day at school.
Oh.
And wasn't just Halloween. I actually really had fun with that. I felt I rocked it pretty much. And I was what, maybe 11, 12 years old.
Was it your idea or your mom's idea?
I want to say it was mine.
I know it's hard to remember back then.
But I remember putting on her shoes, like the 70s, and they had the knee-high boots with all the little, wrinkles in them and stuff. Yeah, so I would say definitely right about that time, just here and there throughout life.
So, and that was somewhere near puberty, or was that?
Oh, it was before,
little bit.
right about, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I kind of continued on with that a little bit.
Like Halloween's, or just on your own time?
On my own, where like it was more of projected onto later life who I was with. I feel where I like to see certain things on my partner, and I was very articulate about put this on and put this on, and but I went on through my entire marriage with that. My first marriage my second marriage of 18 years, and certain looks based on where we were going, certain things, shopping.
So you were picking out the outfits she would wear.
I would.
Yeah.
I would. And then as time went on, I ended up with we got divorced, and ended up with another significant other, and she actually happened to wear the same size shoe as I did, and then maybe discreetly here and there, I was like, I really like these boots that I got her, and maybe she wasn't around. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just put these on. And I kind of wonder what. Oh, that's not. I remember a pair of heels that were pretty out there, very stiletto, very high arch, and they were made dollar. They had skulls all over 'em.
Oh, beautiful.
Skulls, very, the gothic alternative kind of look. A
Yeah,
little
I know somebody
gritty.
that likes that kind of stuff too.
It's the thing, the Suicide Girl kind of vibe, or the biker girl kind of
Yes,
vibe,
yes.
the bling bling, the shiny, um, and so it's little things like that here and there. And then I really didn't go all out with anything. It just might be like a little garment or something.
So,
But
but during all that time, were you sharing this with anybody,
no,
or was this all
it
just?
wasn't here. It was all in my world, but not really cluing in on what that
What was driving that?
Right.
So did you feel like it was a sexual thing that was driving this, or was it emotional? What was?
No, it's never really been a sexual thing. It is a attraction for that look, the level of glamour that I like to see, or an artistic expression of that vibe for a female.
Right.
Is she a biker? Is she sexy? Is she maybe a little bit of fetish kind of wear, BDSM kind of wear? Very alternative, and it is like just very intrigued. I just thought it was very sexy, and that I just got the energy and vibe off that.
So you're being kind of like an artist.
Maybe, could be. Very, very, very articulate. Certain looks I like, right? All women are beautiful, all different styles, but there's certain kind of runway for me, if you will. If I had a runway and I had girls, I would say this, I'd say that, and give me a little bit of this, and I'd have this lens that I would look at. I'm like, strike a pose, girls. And
So you might have been a fashion designer in a different train of life.
my goodness, my goodness, I could definitely put a few portfolios in a magazine for sure, but with good taste, not raunchy, not too out there, but enough that brings you in and is intriguing. And ooh, what is this all about? I can just feel that glow of girl power around her, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's a whole lot. I'm complicated.
So
maybe.
so when were you finally able to share this with anybody, or when did you just talk about it with anybody, or were you ever discovered or found out?
Maybe. So fast forward a couple
Decades.
2.0, 3.0, 4.0, in comes 5.0. So she comes into my life, and it's just her and I during COVID, and I happen to have a few garments that I happen to have that were just her size. They were, we're having some drinks, and we're having some couple time, just us out here in the back of the Oasis, right? And I started doing my thing. Oh, put this on, and put this latex, and put on some glow and some makeup, and like what I like to see,
Be
right?
my canvas while
My
I'm the
girl.
artist.
I want you to be my girly girl, right? And so this crafty one says later, after I take pictures and have her pose and do all these things, we're sitting there kind of relaxed, and after, and she had, at some point, clothes end up on the floor. She looks at me and she's like, well, I think you should put that dress on. And I was like, what dress? That dress? The latex dress. Like, nice, upscale, fetish factory level latex dress. I was like, okay, fine, I'll put it on. Still had my little biker goatee going on, and I put it on, And she got out the camera, and I was like, oh, okay, well, you can take a picture. I mean, yeah. And so that kind of went from there. And so we had fun with that, you know. And the next day and some time after, I'm kind of like, you know, I had like a little red wig. I put that on. You know, it wasn't all the way there, but it was encroaching. And that was the first time I did that with someone.
Right.
And not just someone that saw something I didn't, okay, and bridge that connection and help me connect that. And then, so that was the first link in this little Lego castle of Jaymee that was being built. She later, a few days later, that was fun. We're talking about it. Oh, that was great. We're looking at pictures. We're just in our own little world, right? She's like, well, next time I want to do your face.
With makeup.
Yeah. And I was like, oh. I was like, I don't know. But I kind of wanted to. I was like, well, I don't know if I want to do that. But I want to. Gotta shave off my stuff. That's a whole new look. I've had facial hair for, that's part of my whole biker vibe, right?
Right.
But then again, I'm starting to get some gray, and I was like, you know what? Why not? It took a little while to get used to that new look, so we did that, and we started into the makeup, and then that was fun, same vibe, whatever. But then I started adapting in that role a little bit of my mannerisms, especially when the camera's out, because like when just automatically started behaving different and didn't realize it. So I look at the pictures later, and then that's when that next set of wheels and gears start turning, of processing like what I see there and what does that mean, right?
What did that feel like? I mean, what was going on?
I had no idea. I had no label for it.
Right.
Trying to understand that, like, and then the energy behind that, the gravity of that pulling me towards in that direction.
And I think that's one of the things that makes it so hard for cross-dressers, for transvestites, is that there's not a RuPaul drag race for our thing. It's not something that talks about our issues or talks about the feelings or what it is. And I feel like we came up in a time where that just didn't exist. It was just taboo. That's all it got labeled as, was taboo.
Right.
It couldn't be anything positive. It couldn't be a different exploration of oneself.
No, not at all. I totally agree. But I had no idea of any of that. The way you described that, and how now you and myself clue into certain things and see that, and I had no idea that where that was going to go, and the things was going to learn and continue to learn. I mean, I look back, but then I start looking back over the decades in certain situations and certain energies. On one of the TV music videos comes on Culture Club. And the banter, the boys watching it, making fun of Boy George singing.
Right.
But me hearing that in an ambient way. Actually, what was more prevalent is the energy and what I was hearing of, I don't know, he kind of looks kind of cute, but I'm not sure if that's what I'm thinking or not. Like, it doesn't look too bad. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of like, what is this? What is this energy I'm feeling? Like, oh, I don't know. And then later, I was at a friend's house. Much later, I was married, second marriage, biker stayover. Everybody is like the next day over having fun, and they decide to watch Rocky Horror Picture Show. Tim Curry, the elevator down. I'm like,
had you seen it before?
I had, but not in a very long time. Um, but there's also just some energy, just like a little twinge of a tickle of something when all my friends are having fun with the movie in
Right, right.
general, mocking or playing,
Mm-hmm.
dancing around, goofing around. I'm kind of just sitting back being kind of quiet, like, oh, I kind of think he's kind of hot, but I'm not sure that that's what it is I'm feeling or not.
Right.
Um,
And the
you know,
power he had in that movie was just
he was rocking
yes.
that shit 1000. Sexy. Yes, yes. I'm like, I kind of like that, but I also wouldn't mind doing that. But thinking to myself,
Right.
right? Little clues like that, and then, you know, um, other ways to keep that on to myself, but not able to have a conversation about it.
Right.
My ex-wife, never did I ever have a conversation about my sexuality or things I was interested in. Ever, she was very clear. I had more than one time made a reference that, she could never be with a man that's been with another man, or even in the circles that I was. I was an altar boy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. um,
Like
Catholic altar boy. The
like
little.
actual
Well,
like actual.
I was a catechism baby.
Oh
The
wow.
whole thing, yeah, right. Um, and then military, right, and then biker, very alpha
Oh super.
type, all leader of the pack,
These are some of the similarities we have. If
right?
you don't know, it's we both just went all out, biker, army, military. Just hey, let's be the manliest men we can be. And it's the funny thing. The thing that kills me is how many cross-dressers or even transgender people that I run into who are prior military. I have a theory that possibly we use up all our masculinity portraying all this, and we just get tired of it.
Maybe.
And we just see that it's just like this facade that we're putting up. So I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, I definitely can relate to that, and definitely can see how given that level of energy
Mm-hmm.
and the almost, I hate to say a front, but maybe a different phase of if we were moons.
So now what are you doing? What are you up to?
So I have been in the IT field for about 30 years.
So that's about as long as you could be in the IT field.
But you might be surprised. There are some folks that work well into their 70s in my field. I hope not to be one of them because you do late nights and weekends
Mm,
on call. I don't want to be doing that in my 70s. I've been doing this a while. You know, it's my thing to influence growth and change and, help companies do things better,
right.
be different, be better. Obviously I like change. You know, the big thing that I have learned this whole weekend has been a personal discovery and journey.
Oh, we didn't talk about that at all. So Jaymee went out, like out into the world for the first time, for the This Is Trans exhibit by NB Gay. Um, and so we went out to that, then we went out and we danced the night away. And
We did.
that was the first, I feel honored that you came out with us, but you just came out and did it. There was no stopping you. How did that feel? How did that feel just?
I had a good support within my platoon. It was intoxicating, as someone once told me. It was good energy. I felt safe. I felt included. I felt pretty. I felt
You mean
like,
because all the guys were hitting on you?
I mean, maybe. Voice. um, it was the energy was there,
Right.
and but it was also more about the people that I was with that allowed me to have that courage and feed off their energy and and be with them in good company to support me and me to support them,
Right,
and
exactly.
it was fun. It was a lot to take in, um, but my feet hurt at the end of the night, right? The exhibit was very, very impactful to me. Um, you know, you and the artists that were there had a very positive influence for me because I walked through there and every story I felt and didn't know that it was going to happen. I didn't know what I was walking into. I thought I was going to see an art exhibit. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. And then the theme that I heard consistently was something that was actually spoken to me days before this event as I shared this with, my boss, okay? Very supportive, been very impactful to me and supportive through a very long part of my career. And I shared with him what I was about to do, and he said,
The going out
focus,
thing.
he said, focus on being authentic. Don't focus on the labels. Labels, okay, I get that. As I walked through that exhibit, every part of that, every step of that was about not having labels,
Right. Being an individual, being
not having a label. Labels are for what? Fashion. My employer is very, 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 very big on diversity, being inclusive, and teaching that, and driving
and
that.
that gave you the confidence to be able to talk to them about this, to be able to talk to somebody just at work about this. That's a comfort
is.
zone that few people get.
It is.
That's
That connection was there.
right.
But given that trust, his last sentence to me, he said, thank you for sharing that, and your trust is not misplaced. And what I learned is when you're vulnerable and you put yourself out there as we are today, when you offer that vulnerability to somebody, you get it back. They give it back. It's an offering of ourselves.
It's powerful.
It is. Courage is contagious.
So there's always good and bad. After your second marriage, you got outed. How did that happen?
I did. I gave my trust to another human for the first time, and embracing my sexuality, the bi side, and I gave that trust to them, and and it was a toxic relationship, and and people sometimes say during conflicts or domestic situations they say mean things, although that my sexuality was a weapon to them. So when my kids were home, I got called all the names, screamed out
in front of your kids.
in front of my kids, multiple times, malicious, like all the nasty
Right.
things you could call a person, to degrade them in the worst possible way, to dehumanize them, dismantle their person as they are, to demean them, and then proceed to yell it out the door when I was trying to leave the house and to be safe, screaming down the hall, screaming down the driveway, screaming out the front door, and this is all just multiple occasions, like,
Right.
and then
Where you live.
where I live, and then to mutual friends, okay, some close friends came to me and said, "Hey, I know you guys haven't been good, but I just wanted to let you know." She sent us pictures. She said that things were happening. She told my daughter that I was more interested in having sex with men than having sex with her. That was on video. And then after the breakup, when I finally got her out of my house, it was actually that event. She was sharing that with my daughter, and I caught her on video doing that. It was that, that was it at that point.
Yeah.
So she proceeds to put it on Facebook. And what I realized is that was also would give me. I didn't know at the time because I was
No,
like,
you-
"Oh my God!" But you know what? What beats us down is what makes the grass grow greener, right? It makes everybody that marches in that parade has a story just like me, and I know it. And once I realized, I was like, that you know what? You go ahead with your story. You go ahead and tell whoever you want. I didn't care anymore because you already beat me down enough already. I just don't care anymore. And you know what? You're damn right. I'm bi. You're damn right. I'm part of the alphabet people. And I am the Rainbow Crew. And you know what? You ain't going to tear me down anymore. And I'm going to own that shit because you forced me to own it. And I am going to own it because you know what? I'm a survivor just like the rest of our people.
Beautiful.
Right?
Right.
And I took that courage and I was like, I'm a protected class. You go ahead. You go right ahead. And it got to the point I didn't even care what she was saying anymore. Made no matter. But fast forward, my next person that comes into my life, within 24 hours, I am bi. This is my life.
Right.
This is who I am. But
And then they didn't have any power over that, did
they didn't. But you know what? Hey, this is me.
Right.
If you're getting on this train, right? This is the menu, right? This is me. This is the real me, 100 proof. Now, so you get into they say okay, but then maybe it's really not okay. And then I started learning some other terms: tolerant, supportive, accepting, into. Right? So yes, they might let you, live part of that life, but maybe after once they really get into it, for one reason or another, right? Maybe they're really not okay with it, or they just kind of, I'll support you in it, or right,
Right.
which becomes problematic later on, right? Depending on the way I live my life. Yeah. So. You learn a lot.
Right.
But then also is in my journey, right, and being outed, I knew that there were people in my community, the circles that I hang out with, that kind of knew. There was even some people that are in my life now that had asked me, post my ex had left, are you bi? No, I'm not. You asked me today, I will answer any question. Now, do I go walk around up and down the street outside of Pride and say, hey, I'm bi? No, I don't. If it's relevant in conversation, if it's relevant where I'm at,
Right.
it's out there. I am who I am, right? My friends showed up here on my birthday. Courtney and I had been doing the dress, evolving, and it's kind of like my gig now on the weekends a little bit. That's how when I'm having fun, Jaymee's having fun, right? They show up on my birthday. 12 people flew up, walked into my bedroom on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. Like, well, I kind of knew, right? They kind of knew, kind of a vibe I might be getting down that way. Like, you know what? I don't care. Noon, I come walking out, bang, heels and all, full battle array. I come walking out. Girls are in the pool. I see people, my friends looking at me. Yeah, this is happening. A couple of them already knew. Most of them didn't. They look at my shoes while they're in the pool. They look at me, and one of the girls like, I have 2 words for you, Joe. Fuck you. And those heels. My God, how are you doing that? And the energy. And the people that watched me come out, and that day, for me to put it out there, and that's to Joe put himself and be vulnerable out there in front of everyone like that changed everybody. And I didn't know it. Not at that time. Changed things for everybody at different points. We all have a path, we all have a story at a different pace.
So you took all that negativity from the outing, used that to power the Jaymee machine,
Yes.
and have since inspired and changed some of this world.
I like to hope so. I like to think so. I believe
Think
so.
you have. We're getting near the end.
Okay.
We like to do the last three.
Okay.
So, first question. I'm still going to read it off the thing because whatever. It's been a while. What question would you ask a person who doesn't like our kind of people? People who wear women's clothes, who are guys, people who don't respect gender norms. What would you ask them?
I would ask them if there's anything I could do for them. If there's anything I could help them with that would make them understand or see us in a light as people.
What would you say to your younger self with what you have now? And when would you say it?
Early on, you know, but definitely in my 20s, if not sooner. Young adult, I would say, go look in the mirror, look inside. You need to look deep. You need to find your truth. It's there. Look inside. Connect the dots. Pay attention. It's there. Pay attention. You know, because the truth that we think is not always the truth of what it really is.
Right.
Own your truth. And I have also learned whatever truth anyone offers me, I will accept your truth. I'm not gay. I accept your truth as today. But I'm here for you when you're ready to have and own your truth. I'm here for when you're ready. Until then, it'll be fabulous.
All right, and one question for me.
What would be a defining moment for you in your journey?
One of the things that had the biggest impact on me and changed everything was I got busted for having lingerie that I had stolen from a relative in my room. My dad got very mad, lots of yelling and stuff. And so I was like, okay, that's not right. That's not what I should do. Because I had a very strong connection with my mom and my dad growing up. And so if that's how they came at me, then okay, I get it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And I put that shit away. And went and did all the manliest things I could do, you know, join the Army, join Special Forces, you know, get your numbers as high as you can. And that had a huge, like, culture club for me, like we were talking earlier, that I loved the music. I hated Culture Club. I hated Boy George. That aspect, because it was so ingrained into me, was this is not right. But I still love the music. Depeche Mode. Oh God, all that stuff. It spoke to me, but I didn't understand what it was speaking to. I didn't.
You're beautiful.
And so I just put it all away. put it away. And it wasn't until this beautiful lady brought it out and gave me that trust and that vulnerability and gave me a place for mine. So, well, thank you for this wonderful time and experience and hosting our little light and audio show and sharing something that I don't think you understand. Before you affected 20 people, you're going to affect a lot more now. Okay?
Thank you. Beautiful.
Bye.